All right, red-white siblings. So, Soul Sisters was a deck in Extended and Modern that played Soul Warden and another 1-mana white creature that gained life when things entered play. We called this Soul Siblings in Historic because we have Daxos Blessed by the Sun here along with Soul Warden. This build is again attempting to try a red splash. So last time we tried a red splash a la Lotus Field that felt a little bit clunky and unnecessary. This build is again playing Embercleave at the top end, but it's leveraging a couple of other red cards that can consistently put tokens into play. I'm skeptical that this edition is more ideal than the base mono whitelist that we've played. I feel like Embercleave, while it does let your giant Pridemates trample over things nicely, it kind of fills a similar role to 4-mana Ajani, which clears the board when you have a lot of life, while also being kind of painful on the mana base here. So we've given up the 3-mana triple white devotion cards. That means enabling Heliod is also going to be a little bit more difficult in this deck. This is more likely to remain an enchantment than in the other mono white build. Let's hop on into a couple of matches here with this on the ladder and see how it goes. And see if we can reassess some of our feelings after playing some games. So, I'm confused by your statement, Cajun Guy. You said you'd rather have castles because we have 1-drops. How do castles help us cast our 1-drops? Because those are still tapped on turn 1. The mana math dictates that in order to cast red, red, and white, white spells consistently, that we need the temples for fixing. So in order to just play Magic consistently, apparently Ron Paul was at a Republican lunch with a bunch of other senators recently before he was confirmed to have COVID, and they're all much older folks. And he was in the gym this morning, apparently. He should be freaking out. They should all be freaking out. They should realize how serious this is. And then they should realize that they are riddled with privileges that most Americans don't have. And if they're freaking out, they should try and develop a little bit of empathy and realize what normal people are feeling like during this time. All right, so I have a lot of sequencing decisions here. Is it crazy to just like Chandra? I think I'm just gonna Chandra and attack for 3, and then next turn I can Heliod and start pumping them up. So what happens to Senate seats when they're vacated varies by state, I believe. In a lot of states, the governor appoints them, but I believe in some states that special elections are held, right? In fact, I believe I was younger when this happened, like 16, 17, so I don't remember exactly, but Blagojevich went to jail in Illinois because he tried to sell Obama's Senate seat, right? Is basically what happened. By the way, Blagojevich, for those that don't keep up, he's someone that Donald Trump felt the need to pardon. Donald Trump commuted his sentence. You know, the man who was a Washington outsider that people thought was gonna drain the swamp. Republicans are idiots. Donald Trump pardoning criminals? Strange. Weird. No, most Democrats are decent people who want anyone who breaks the law to get punished for it. I don't care if there's a D or an R next to their name. Don't you care that people find this offensive? I don't really care if Republicans find it offensive that I call them idiots, because I find it offensive that Republicans regularly vote against mine and my family's access to affordable health care. I find it offensive that Republicans put children in cages on the border and are okay with an administration that does things like that. So, if a little dose of reality makes them upset, they should know that I'm constantly upset with the cruel reality that they vote for constantly. Your badge looks like it there. Yeah, Twitch chat's probably just bugging for you. Blood Sun sounds great. Their Field of the Dead deck. Cleave sounds great. Legion Warboss is... What do I want to trim here? I didn't see any black sources out of them, but they could have been Yarok Field missing a color. Yeah, the right-wing party in the United States is like... They're basically literal fascists. You find 90% of people who want to get along despite of how they vote is because they don't know they vote dummy and won't admit that they're privileged enough to not care. Yep. I think I'm trimming Cleave here. That was a good draw. Never forget the statement during Trump's impeachment trial, abuse of power is an opinion, not a fact. Yep. Lovestruck Beast is interesting. I wonder if they're straight blue-green. Lovestruck Beast makes me think they're probably straight blue-green. Correct, AT Gamer. I agree. Making sure people don't die or go bankrupt because they can't afford to go to a hospital, especially during times like this, is just, it's pretty straightforward common sense. It's basic human empathy. Oh, they're a Bant build. That makes a lot of sense. So Chandra here's gonna pump up the jam on the Pridemate. So she'll drop 2 things, and then Soul Warden will pump Pridemate up to a 6/6 here. So that's nice. You can turn on auto order triggered abilities with this one. Chayati, thanks for the 7 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. These are going away, so might as well attack with them. People relate more to billionaires than their neighbors because the billionaires, the corporations they make their money from, have spent a lot of money brainwashing them. We might hit Serra Ascendant as a 6/6 next turn. We're going to get close to it at least. Heliod's not quite a creature. We want to hit a something with a white pip next turn so we can play Heliod as a creature. It's possible to change minds. While I agree with you to a degree, anyone who is still voting Republican at this point, in my opinion, is too far gone to be reasonably changed in most situations. I look at most things in life like a game theory problem. Let's make up some numbers that are probably pretty close to approximately correct. Let's say it takes me, let's say I spend 12 hours trying to convince someone who votes Republican that they're voting against their own best interests and for literal evil. I spend 12 hours doing that, and I have maybe a 50% success rate. Or I could spend 2 hours, talking to someone who's undecided or in the middle and convince them that they shouldn't be in the middle and that they should care. Not even probably correct. In fact, 50% is a high estimation. 50, it's probably 20 or 30%. Energy is much better spent convincing people who aren't politically active and don't vote that they should vote, rather than convincing people who vote for literal fascists that they shouldn't vote for literal fascists. In my opinion, you have all the time in the world, and don't let me dictate what you do with your time, but that's my experience. You're right, I don't think anybody is unsalvageable, but I do think the amount of time it takes to deprogram someone who's basically in a cult is an extreme amount of time. This is... We could really use a cleave, huh? Could really use a cleave. Yes, fascist bad. Thanks for the quarter for your dodge. Oh, I'm all over the place. I didn't lifelink that one because in my head I attacked with this one because I'm a big dumb. It's gonna be okay. We've got plenty of life. Yeah, I could play a second Chandra, but these have reach, chat. So even if I played the second Chandra, I wouldn't have been able to kill them. I should have totally life-linked this, though, and gained a bunch more. And, like, so this build versus the mono-white build on my website, like, we're drawing to cleave in this build, but we'd be drawing to, Ajani in the mono-white build. And, like, this build has fewer cleaves than the mono-white build has Ajani's. So, what I attack with, if I attack at all, is going to be dictated by what's in their bin now that they have a Cavalier. Yeah, greens on greens. There's a lot of people that aren't taking things seriously. I could put some counters on Heliod. That's probably not a bad idea, actually. Just, like, start spreading all these out. Yeah, like, we're basically just, like, sitting here hoping that... We're sitting here hoping that we draw a cleave before they draw something useful. Thanks for being here, Yak. We're gonna be here on the weekends in Hoaglandia for the foreseeable future. Should we swing the flyer to start knocking out the Ricci boys? Yeah, maybe. I don't know, it gains less life. And if I don't leave at least one of my big things back... You assume they have agent? Yeah, that's probably fair. No, I give Pridemate lifelink. We're at 95. Tuxiga, thanks for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Thanks for keeping me around. I'd like to think I'm a temporarily inconvenient chillionaire. I should probably start pumping up my flyer more, so that way she can trample over. Oh, that is a blast zone. Are we dead? I think we've died. Gunmetal Dragon, thanks for the quarter of a year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. There's one cleave we bottomed on our mulligan. Regrets, chat. Strong regrets. I should stop putting counters on the one drop because they have a blast zone, probably. That's a Nexus of Fate, yep. At least we don't have to keep a die on this card, right? Or multiple dice. It would be dice at this point, huh? There's 47. Yeah, there's only 8 cards in their deck. We're just not gonna get another turn. Wait, can they kill us? We haven't seen an Agent of Treachery yet. Can they kill us? Well, they have Blast Zone. Do they have more Tamiodes that can recur Blast Zone? Maybe? I don't know. I'm just gonna pump up the jam as big as possible. Yeah, I guess their deck will get empty. They'll have an arbitrary number of turns. They'll be able to Tamio plus Blast Zone. Yeah, we're dead. I think I'm happy with how he boarded. Let's run it back. Hey, Johnny Coolix. Thanks for the tip. I appreciate that. Ooh, where's my dashboard? Thanks for the historic content during the quarantine. This is for my historic spirit submission. Sounds great. They had multiple creatures with reach for Smith. Okie doke. Okay. Got a strong curve here on the play. Skyknight into Legion Warboss can add up a lot of damage really quickly. Crazy Slot. Thank you for the quarter of a year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Cleveland on Warboss should be excellent here. Clevo! It's like real efficient white-red aggro here. So they could trade with a 1-1 and go to 1. They could jump the 2-2 and go to 2. Go. B. Aggressive. B. E. Aggressive. Do. 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 Look at that, chat. We played some good decks today, and we're climbing. We're back into the numbers. We're back into the numbers. What is going on? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Cleveland sends its regards. Yep. I mean, it's worth noting, like, talking about comparisons, Cleve was better than Ajani would have been there, right? Cleve ran them down in a spot where Ajani would have just moped around a little bit. Let us cut through their blocker efficiently. You heard the Cleveland Tourism video song. I have not. Something that is a scotch awkward in this archetype as well is the shock lands come at a real cost. They could be the difference between turning this on or not on time in some of our games, I think. So, probably getting swept in 2 turns. We'll see if they have a Teferi or something this turn. Deputy of Detention. Okay. So that's my 4th devotion. This is my 5th devotion. Worth noting that if I had been playing mono white here, we would have, been at 30 plus here, right? Maybe I should diversify some of these 1/1 counters here. Maybe start building up the goblins. This is going to be a big threat all on its own here in a second. Yeah, I probably should have put some counters over here.
This isn't a fight you can win. Hey, this might be a bad idea.
If I send these here and send these here. I could have given something else lifelink here, but I think it's better to hold up a life's bounty activation. So this way, if they don't have, like, a time wipe, they're in a lot of trouble. Yeah, time wipe or a shatter. Time wipe specifically, so they can pick this up and kill my Legion Warboss. Okay. Anything they go to bounce here will protect with life's bounty and deny.
Stop that now.
Why give the 3/3 token lifelink over the 5/5 Heliod? Because one of the worst parts about Magic Arena is it doesn't let me cheat. Yeah, Arena would be a lot easier if it just let me cheat while we play. Time me out, I read the card. God bless. Catch you in 10. I think we just assume they're on sweepers. I'm going to bring in these Vanguards. I'm going to trim a couple of Healer Hawks. The rest of this seems pretty fine, honestly. Maybe this is a cleave out matchup. Although they have Deputy, I don't really know how controlling they are versus how not. They could be a control deck that's just like playing Deputy in the main because it cleans up Field of the Dead tokens. Yeah, let's bring in Gideon and trim a couple of cleaves for now. Reserve the right to bring back in more cleaves in the event they're playing like Hero the Precinct 1 or something. This is a mulligan. 1, 2, 3. It's just curvamentary. What could it be? Yeah, Thalia could be okay. If we confirm that they're a... I don't want to hedge and bring in Thalia because they could be a creature-based deck still. If we confirm that they're mostly control that's just playing Deputy, we'll bring in Thalia for the third game on the play. You actually can't edit quotes, which is really stupid with the MTG bot. You have to delete it and add a new one. And then when you delete it and add a new one, it just leaves a blank spot in the number of quotes. Yes, regeneration is largely a retired mechanic at this point because regeneration is confusing for the most part. Of course, they also brought back protection, so what do I know? People read regeneration and think it means, yeah, intuitively, new players often think it means that. All right, who's got 2 thumbs and soon to have 2 more basic lands in play? This guy right here. Really? Okay. Oh, I could have sacked this to protect that, right? I think that's fine. I think I'd rather play Adanto. They just like have another one? They might just have another one here too. Yeah, I feel like warrant means hero. I think that's probably what that means, like a 2-color hero deck. We had worked on a couple of variations of that, like last season. That's super brutal. They don't know that we have this other one in our hand, but it's rough that we do.
Gods bless us in our righteous cause. I believe in you, friend.
I think I'm just holding up this activation. I guess it doesn't really do anything, right? Because this isn't a creature anymore, so I can't protect it.
Your light will cleave the darkness.
I suppose Gideon in 2 turns unlocks the Sixilence Binding, huh? Although they're probably about to Brazen Borrower him, if I had to venture a guess. Smacked for 3 here. Could Abzan Hero be ported to Historic? I'd be kind of surprised if that archetype has the staying power to keep up in this format. I feel like you need to play cards like there aren't good multicolored cards that let you keep up with field, basically. Like, I think there's probably a sweet just Abzan mid-range deck in this format, but I'd be kind of surprised if it involves Hero the Precinct one. Heroes. I feel like Hero's one of those cards that's just like not very good that so many people like desperately want to be good.
I believe in you.
I'm gonna play around subtle here. Pretty smart, Hogland. Pretty smart. Yeah, I hope Young Pyromancer is on the list of cards they plan to print in historic anthologies. I think that would be really sweet. I think that's definitely a fan favorite style card. I think Delver of Secrets is awesome. Fall of the Thran and Field of the Dead have anti-synergy. So we played some Fall of the Thran decks to start today, but you don't want to play that card with Field. That card still puts you down on lands. Jim Davis yesterday played a really sweet Young Pyromancer Risen Reef deck in the Pioneer Tournament, and his record wasn't very good, but like that's the style of archetype that I'd like to see in this format. Just the second Subtle Wreckage, yep. Says, I think we could definitely afford to play around the first one. I don't think we could really afford to play around a second here. I just like need to actually pressure their Planeswalker.
Hurry!
Hey, Patindi. Thanks for the brand new tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Hope you're having a good one wherever you're at. Yes. Yeah, seeing more of their deck, I think, definitely means that this is a Thalia matchup. It is a Brave New World, Zikta. I am going to be live on the weekends for the foreseeable future. Subbed because you said you wanted Delver. Delver and I, we go way back.
No, I am not.
Your daughter's wondering why your son isn't on your head at the moment. Because he's hanging out upstairs with Christy. Alright, let's get some Thalias in our deck. Yeah, looks like they're a control deck that's mostly playing Deputy, which seems reasonable, especially if they're on Time Wipe as a sweeper. Thalia sounds great here. I think I'm going to trim this last Embercleave. Daxos is a little middling. She's amazed you talk to us. So, Scotch of awkward tension here. Can't go Thalia on 2 into Gideon on 3. Might go Skyknight on 2 so I can Gideon on 3 on the play. I think getting Gideon down turn 3 on the play is more important than disrupting their curve. Bryce-tastic, welcome back. Activate. Thanks for the 2 months. Hope you're staying safe out there in this crazy world. Whoop. Oh, I missed a point of life. I could have life linked one of these. Oh, they just have Dovin's vetoing against me and it didn't matter. Get it, got it good. Rand Paul went to the Senate gym while awaiting the wait. So like he knew there was a chance he could have it. And his decision, the active decision he made, I thought he went to the gym like before he knew there was a chance he had it. But like, do these people not have brain, like... It's just like, there aren't even words about their lack of caring and empathy and like consideration for those around them and others. Like it's unreal. You did miss Yarak Field. We had a really good set with it. It'll be up on YouTube later. Ugh. You want to bottom the Thalia here? Being home all the time leads to nap. I mean, all the time kind of blurs together, right? Like, I looked outside and it was snowing. It was like, oh, snow, neat. Okay. Meddling Mage is, I don't think this card's terrible to have in their deck, but it's a weird one to have in against me. I'm gonna pump up some of my 1/1s here. Moving on up the ladder, playing sweet historic decks. Do. Yeah, I agree, Anurag. I feel like people overutilize Meddling Mage similar to Unmortigo. Yeah, excuse me. I guess Vito is kind of strange to have in postboard too, huh? They're not going to be so rare anymore, Moonlight. Best get used to Hoglandia on the weekends. Yes, first strike creatures with Heliod and lifelink is very slick. So this hand's like obviously not stellar with 4 lands in our aggro deck, but like if I mulligan this hand and see like this on 5, I'm like pretty excited to keep it. Land War Elf on 1's a little unfortunate because now I can't attack with this for free. Well, that's aggressive. Hello, favorite wife, love of my life. Happy birthday.
I'm catering to you on my anniversary of birth.
Do you hear how much she loves me, chat? She brought me a late lunch even though it's her birthday. Thank you for not letting me starve. How are the monsters today?
Declan won't stop asking me when I'm making my brownies.
Well, just make your brownies. Time is a lie in the current state we're in.
I think maybe you should make them for me.
Oh, I should make the brownies for you.
My celebration.
Okay, I'll make them tomorrow.
No. That's not how it works.
I love you, honey.
It's so cold down here.
It is very cold down here, and it's snowing outside.
It is. Why, though?
Alright, chat. I gotta pop my Invisalign out. Back in a second. It's your wife's birthday and you're still playing Magic. I am working, Ferns, thank you very much. And I had this really big, elaborate party planned for her, but we had to cancel it due to all the lockdowns going on. Had to just, you know, cancel all the invitations and planning that I had done. Listen, and you can't prove whether or not that's true, okay? So you just gotta take it at face value. Thank you very much. Yeah, if you want to watch me take my Invisalign out with the camera on, you got a tier 3 sub so you can get access to my private Snapchat. Gosh, our hand seems really bad here, huh? I don't really have much going on. I have like 2 Banishing Lights and that's it. I like cutting Chandra because they're questing beast deck, but none of these other things seem particularly useful. Thanks for the 1.5 years, Warblazer. Welcome back. Are we fudge brownie or cake brownie folk? Yes. As to the question of what is this build doing that's different from the red-white build we played the other day, this build is notably not going quite as large as that build was, and it's not trying to play Lotus Field specifically. Is it really a good time to be increasing your Roth contributions? Normally I'd tell you investing in your future is a good thing, but I feel like it might currently be loose at the current crossroads we are in. Roadkill, speaking of, thank you for the very generous tier 3 sub. Welcome back. What does the future hold? Nobody knows. So attacking doesn't even do anything though, right? Because they just like jump block it. Okay, just pass back here. It never fails to impress me how many people think this card can lifelink itself. supposed to attack with both of these here. I can lifelink them. I'm like, they can double block one. Or like, I'm letting them trade their 3/3 for my 4/4 here. But I'm going to gain 9 life out of this, and we're going to pump this way up, right? So it seems like a good exchange for me. So it's going to 7 at a minimum. I'm going to kick it to 8. Ha! The egg gains me life too. That's so great. All right, deal. I feel like they're racing in the wrong direction, chat. So if they attack with nothing here, they have 9, 13, 14, 15 power. So I think I want to start getting Ajani big enough to attack through them holding everything back. Super punished. We have drawn very few spells this game. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spells in 14 cards. 15 cards. Yeah, I think the assessment that we're ahead is pretty accurate at the moment. I feel ahead. The slow-moving, boring apocalypse, something like that. It's a pretty apt descriptor. Please hold. All right, the old defensive cleave. Well, now our Embercleave's really bad, right? I think they should have attacked me there. We'll just make their decision for them. Waiting, waiting. Do 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 do. Well, I'd have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that meddling pelt collector. Yeah, if we were mono white, we'd statistically have a castle by now, which would be the winning thing this game. They sacked the Brontodon because sacking it made their pelt collector bigger. I'm pretty sure they can't take Heliod off the table. I'm just gonna play another Heliod to trigger this twice. So we only have to get this big enough to survive 14-18. So we only got to get this to a 19-19 to be able to attack. If I attack with this, they just block with this. Yeah, I guess if they stack block it enough, I just use the bounty to save it. So I just, like, gain a bunch of life here. Sure. So, like, they get a free block. I get 26 life out of it. This grows, this grows. No big. Yeah. Yeah, you block like that, opponent. You do it. You do it. You stack those big angry creatures on there. Alright, so this is 14, 18, 22, 26. So I have to sack this to keep this alive. No, they blocked with enough to kill it. Yeah. And like their phoenixes die here. which gives me 8 Soul Warden triggers. So, like, we about to pippity pop off here. What a silly game, chat. What a silly game. And now these come back and throw a couple more counters on my guys. Yeah, save targets auto yield when. Since we're just staring at here, looking at each other anyways, I'd like to answer a question that someone just messaged me in DMs. It's something I've talked about on stream a couple of times, but I should probably post a tweet to link it. But someone messaged me noticing that the Bernie Sanders banner is no longer in my scroller. In my opinion, and so this is just one idiot streaming on Twitch's opinion, so feel free to take it with a grain of salt. I think Sanders should probably drop out of the race at this point. I think the odds of Bernie Sanders winning the nomination after losing the last couple of races is incredibly low. And I think when you pair his likelihood of getting the nomination alongside with the dangers of having people get out and vote in person, I think that it's a recipe for disaster. I think if it was a normal year, under normal circumstances, I would want Bernie to chase the nomination all the way down to the very end. But I think this is not a normal year, and making decisions and acting like it is going to get people killed. That's why I took the Bernie banner down off my stream. Had some good life there. I'm gonna go ahead. I think I'm happy with how we boarded. I'm just gonna go ahead and run it back. Are other primaries being pushed back? Not that some of them have, some of them haven't. Like Illinois held their primary and a couple of other states last week when they really shouldn't have. And part of the problem is, like, if you push the primaries back too much, like, you end up running up into the general election too. Like, because remember, there is a general election in November. I'm gonna bottom this one. What do I want to cut here? I think it's probably just this. Go one drop, one drop, one drop here. I think there's any merit to Mardu or Boros Feather at the moment. I think the better mana from Boros you could probably make an argument for. But I think the green cards are pretty reasonable. I don't think it is, Ferns. I think if the race was closer and Bernie was more likely to be able to win, I think that's a different situation. But I think when you pair the likelihood of him winning with the likelihood of what's likely to happen if you ask people to congregate in voting places, you have to also understand that voter discrimination is a form of legal class warfare, and the types of people who are more likely to have to wait in line for extended periods of time to cast their ballots are people that are also less likely to have access to healthcare should they get sick, and more likely to go bankrupt if they do get sick. I think Bernie would be the best person for the job. That's why I gave him my money and I gave him my time and I put his banner up on my stream for as long as I did. But a lot of the country does not seem to agree with that assessment. And I think running the nomination down to the very end at this point is irresponsible at best and actively dangerous at worst. Worth noting that Healer's Hawk here does get stopped by Life Bounty with Protection does get stopped by Questing Beast, unfortunately. The person who asked me the question about the Burning Banner asked me about whether or not I'll be supporting Joe Biden. I don't intend to send Joe Biden donations. I don't intend to put a Joe Biden banner on my stream. I will show up in November and cast a ballot for not Donald Trump because I'm not a sociopath and I don't hate other people, but Joe Biden doesn't really represent my values personally. And I will not actively promote or contribute to him. The people who all voted for Joe Biden in the primary, I hope they're enough to get Joe Biden elected in the general. But I'm not going to put forth extra effort on Joe Biden. Thanks for the 19 months, Sean. I appreciate it. Get to just slowly keep ticking up our life total here. Working towards that big 3-0 for Serra Ascendant. Down ballot candidates matter. They matter for other people. They don't matter for me. I live in an incredibly gerrymandered district that's solidly Republican. So I don't even think my incumbent congressional representative has a Democrat running against him. I believe my state representative, who's a Republican, has a Democrat running against him. Cleave ho! Yeah, the double strike death touch is a tough nut to crack here. I think we're probably dead. From my cursory glance, meatballs, not all those things have people that are formally running posting stuff up for them just yet, but a lot of them are more or less the same. Yeah, if we peeled the Heliod here, we might have been able to pull through, but looks like we're gonna be pretty dead zone. I mean, I don't think it's really fair. So, like, as someone who's, like, decidedly not an advocate for Joe Biden, I think it's unfair to call Joe Biden evil. I think you could say he's old, he's uninspiring, he doesn't represent the values or the change that I want to see in my government. I don't know if there's anything inherently evil about him. He, at a minimum, wouldn't be packing courts full of conservative judges. If Donald Trump or a Republican president gets to appoint the next 2 Supreme Court justices, the court system in this country will be incredibly screwed for the entirety of my lifetime, possibly my children's lifetime too, with whatever else they get to vote on and decide with that. Yeah, of course, it's gonna escalate super quick as we actually get testing done, Casper. Keeper. Part of the reason why the U.S. was so low is because we just weren't testing, because Donald Trump didn't want to do testing because he felt the numbers going up made him look bad. And anybody out there who's been a fan of this stream because of my support for Bernie, and you're kind of uncomfortable with me saying, hey, I'm going to vote for Biden, I'd encourage you that if you're someone that's thinking about throwing a protest vote and like not voting in November if Biden's on the ticket, or, you know, writing in Bernie Sanders, I'd ask you to like look within yourself and check your privilege. Like if you think you can afford 4 more years of Donald Trump via a protest vote, I think you're a lot better off than a lot of people. And if you're actually progressive and truly possess empathy, that's not something you probably want. So, you know, like think about other people. A lot of people I know say they vote for Sanders and support Sanders because they care about other people. So if that's truly your position, show up and vote for Biden. Thanks for the quarter of a year, Lamacopter. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Sure, there's lots of things that are inherently broken about the political system. The two-party system being one of them. I agree, Banting Bob. Like, I'm white and upper middle class and straight, and like I'm riddled with privilege. Like I personally and my family could probably stand 4 more years of Trump, but I'm capable of empathy, and I wouldn't want that for anybody. So I will show up and I will vote for Joe. The games we've lost, we often have an exceptionally large creature that can't hit home. But the red splash is flinging the sideboard too cute. Yes! Stop it. Stop. Don't put bad cards in your deck like fling. Get some help. Timojin, thanks for the tip. I appreciate it. Amazing take on why Sanders supporters should show up and vote for Biden. I appreciate your passion and thoughtfulness. The idea that Trump is better than literally anybody else is absurd, and while I'm sad to see Bernie lose, Biden is the better choice. Yeah, I agree. And thanks for keeping me around. Thanks for the prime, Gwalgamar. You had me in the first half, Arcane. I just want you to know I almost timed you out without finishing reading. I want the record to reflect you were almost timed out via reflex. Alright, so we get to attack with this, which gives us a life, which puts a counter on here. Hey, Space Herring, thanks for the tip. Teamer Sark in mid-range, sounds good. I'll get that added after I'm done today. Hey, nice part, man. Here's a lot of good range of playable decks in this format. So we currently have 3 Devotion to White, so if we draw another 1 or 2 drop white thing next turn, we could potentially attack with Heliod. It's going to be important to try and run this game out as quickly as possible. Looks like we're playing against Nexus of Fate. Wonder how many fogs they have. As far as like the question regarding like, do we need to clear more gummed up board states? Rather than playing bad cards like Fling, and this is why I'm not even sure Embercleave is useful, the just straight mono white deck gets to play 4 mana Ajani as a way to clean the board out, and I'm not really sure that the splash for Embercleave and like making the mana a little bit painful and stuff like that, adding a little bit of inconsistency to the deck is worth when we already have the primary thing Embercleave doing is punching through, and we already have a decent way to do that in mono white. That's true. For 4 more years of a Republican president and administration would set us back probably irreversibly as far as like things like the climate battle go, for instance, as well. Thanks for the quarter of a year, Wardenstia. I appreciate that. Welcome back. We might see them blow up the Blast Zone in response here so the Soul Warden doesn't trigger, which denies us making our things larger. Joe does not set us back in the climate battle, and anybody acting like Joe Biden in terms of climate is the same as Donald Trump is willfully ignorant. Joe Biden's plan is not nearly as good or as aggressive as what Sanders put forth, but to again imply that it's at all even remotely comparable to Donald Trump is devoid of reality. Blue splash for Planeswalkers. I think the blue splash for Planeswalkers could be okay. We played the Planeswalker splash in Standard, and I think I have that waiting in the queue for Historic, so I'll probably get to that at some point. The Interplanar Beacon is really sweet. Quarantine cooking, stew lasts for days, stews and casseroles. Yeah, crockpots are great. Do you have a take on the new Magic Fest online things? Yeah, like... I am glad that Arena is getting more competitive tournaments. I feel like Channel Fireball has not done a good job of leveraging the tools they have available to them, though. Like, I think the match reporting via Discord seems awkward. The fact they're not using, like, a site like Smash or MTG Melee seems like a bit of a miss, in my opinion. I think the fact that, like, MPL and Rivals get auto-invited to every weekly, takes the expected value on an event that already has pretty bad expected value and, like, hammers it down even more for normal players. There's a chance we don't get another turn here. We'll wait and see, though. I'm glad for people that are interested in playing in those that they have more ways to play competitive Magic. I don't think it's for me. Actually, it's funny. So, like, I like check my Twitter and, like, half check Discord and stuff while I'm sitting here. And I actually have a DM. I actually have a DM sitting here from Channel Fireball asking me if I'm interested in playing in them. I don't think I am. I'm not. Not only am I not like I'm not a huge fan of Standard right now personally either. And when you pair that with the fact that it's like, a tournament that's like likely to have like a lot of downtime, it probably doesn't make for a lot of very good content. All right, so both Thalia and Blood Sun are great here because this turns off their utility lands, which really kind of mess us up. I think I'm going to trim Embercleave here. I think I'm just going to trim around the edges a little bit then at this point. Ultimately, Joe Biden is just going to go wherever the Democratic Party pushes him, so if the progressive wing keeps pushing the party left, he'll go left. Yeah, yep. He's a pretty typical career politician. As his crappy votes in the past show, he just kind of goes wherever he thinks the party wants him to go so he can get as many votes as possible. That's true. I agree. And like I said, there's a reason why I am not a huge fan of Joe. But again, like anybody that's representing him as like being comparable to Trump is just like completely off base and devoid of reality. I like to have my values and make it clear what those values are, but I also like to keep myself grounded and like make it clear that I live in reality. How do you feel on him? Straight up lying based on his voting record. And so he technically did the slimy politician thing where he didn't lie in the technical sense. Like, I think you could make the scummy argument that he didn't technically lie. And I think that's almost certainly where he came from on that point. Yeah, you could do something else between the rounds, but like there's just so much downtime. It's just not a good time. Like switching back and forth and like only playing one deck's not really good for the viewer count. Is Historic great? I think so. You're definitely not obligated to like him. I agree with that. Agree with that statement. This is currently my favorite format. And based on the deck submissions that I've been getting, it's everyone else's favorite format too in Hoaglandia. There are currently, for reference, 15 standard, Pioneer, Modern, and Legacy decks combined in the deck queue waiting to be played. 17 to 39. And there are 22 historic decks waiting to be played. And that's with playing more historic than those other formats lately. So, I'm glad that it's resonated well with people. So I think I do this first, because I want to start pumping up my Serra Ascendant here, I think. The problem is, I think these Love-Struck beasts are going to gum up the board for long enough that we're probably not going to be able to kill them before they combo us. Do you measure Q velocity? Not in, like, a super scientific manner, but it's something I keep an eye on, Bob. Like for example, Pioneer has had, like, single digits worth of submissions since Theros stuff started happening.
I noted this suddenly.
So, sub count and viewer count tend to correlate with, oh, I should have attacked with this last turn, huh? Sub count and viewer count tend to correlate with where we're at in the cycle of the season in terms of, like, how far we are from a standard set release than anything else. I'm gonna put this up to 6 so I can smack Tamiyo here. Does it have a high barrier to entry in terms of getting cards? So, the thing to understand about Magic Arena's economy is that your nth +1 deck is always cheaper than your nth deck. The way the arena economy works is, because you have to buy booster packs to get wild cards, you just incidentally have more and more cards for other decks you wanted to make as you buy more cards. So, like, building your first deck costs a lot more than building your second deck, building your third deck, building your fourth deck does. And I'm sure that's by design. There's a process for subs if you want to enter or bump a deck. All the details on that can be found here on my website, Anaphylectic. Alright, so let's do this. The old root snare in response, yep. So, root snare means we don't get to attack with anything. We're probably just dead here. Feel like this match is probably pretty bad for us. We don't really have, like, this is our only really meaningful interaction, and our clock's, like, only okay. Sounds very much like Hearthstone. So, it's different than Hearthstone. Hearthstone doesn't have duplicate protection, right? Or did they add that? When I played Hearthstone last time, they didn't have duplicate protection. I think they might have added it since. I don't really keep up with that application. They added it. Okay. The other thing about Arena's system compared to Hearthstone is that Arena doesn't let you set back your progress. So what I mean by that is because Arena doesn't allow you to dust cards, you can't decide, okay, I'm going to get rid of this progress I have towards a deck I don't want to play right now to finish this deck I currently have faster and cheaper. So because Arena doesn't allow for dusting, you can't accelerate your progress towards your current deck at the cost of progress towards other things later. So if Nexus starts to justify Bone Crusher, maybe. That's definitely one of the few tools that we could have. The problem with Bone Crusher is that Bone Crusher is only useful in a matchup like this if we're in a board state where we're already ready to race. Correct. It does make it harder to get into it first. But as I've said, I'm sure that distinction is by design. Because it encourages people, once they've put a little in, it's like, oh, we only need to put a little bit more in, right? Oh, you know, I actually messed up here. I should have life-linked this to force them to fog. If I would have life-linked Thalia here, they would have had to root snare or they would have died. Yeah. I don't know. We're just sitting here talking about other things in chat. This game, like most games against Nexus of Fate, this game's just not very interesting. I'm gonna concede, actually. I just don't. It's just not worth my time. I don't know. I'm gonna put this deck down. I really was pretty unimpressed with this again. I felt like I feel like the red cards just don't do anything meaningful in terms of the amount of clunkiness that they add to the deck. I feel like having random tap lands, I feel like not having castles, I feel like just to highlight the list that is up on my website. I think this is just more trim. You're more consistently aggressive just because your deck's more consistent overall, and being able to get under decks like that's a big deal. I think things like Disenchant and Conclave Tribunal are better approaches to trying to interact with Nexus rather than Bone Crusher Giant, because these are cards that help you interact in that matchup. And I think, in my experience playing this deck is not bad enough against Field of the Dead to really need something like Blood Sun in the sideboard. I actually think Nexus of Fate is a fine archetype to have in this format. I think it's borderline weak. I think all of the good decks that I play tend to run it over. It just doesn't really, it's just not super exciting. Even when you're beating it, it's kind of dry. But decks like Nexus are something that some players really like about Magic. And just because you don't like Nexus doesn't mean other people shouldn't be able to enjoy what they like. I think when decks like Nexus are the best deck in the format, then there should be some discussion about whether or not you want that play experience to be the norm. But I think having Nexus exist as, a second or third rate deck that's a novel play experience for people that really like that style of gameplay is fine, and it's the type of thing that a non-rotating format should have access to. Alright, what are we doing? I need to run to the restroom and brush my teeth so I can put my Invisalign back in. When we get back, in probably about 4 or 5 minutes since I need to brush my teeth, we are going to kick the tires on this really sweet Sultai Gitrog combo deck. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere.